Close to the Worldwood, a tavern. People come here to drink, to talk, and to leave certain things untouched. Above it, a boy listens. He is 14, new to the work, new to the rules. He believes that questions are harmless and that silence is empty space. Tonight, he will learn otherwise.
The loft above the Crooked Mare never went completely dark. Light shone through the cracks between the boards, wavering with the fire below, and laying lines of light across the rafters and the edge of Tibbit Hashweal's blanket. He lay on his side with his eyes open, listening. He had listened all his life, but he listened now out of habit. At 14, he had been taken on because Pike needed hands, and Tib was quick and careful. He had been given a space in the loft because the mare was full most nights, and Pike preferred his serving lads close at hand. That was the reason. It was not kindness or belonging. Tib was an orphan from length. It was an arrangement. On the other side of the narrow room, Garron Millstone slept in a way Tib could not. Garron was 18 and had been sleeping in lofts and corners for as long as he could remember. Tib had shared the loft with him for just a few weeks now, but it was long enough to know that Garron came and went at odd hours, and that his coin did not come from Pike. His relationship with the mare was not that of an employee. Garron stirred and made a sound, a blend of yawning and laughter. Earlier, before the room had filled and Pike had started snapping orders, Garron had spoken in the lazy, conspiratorial way he favoured. His world was seemingly always about to offer something if you knew where to look. "First full night then, Tib," Garron had said, sitting on his bed and stretching. "You'll like it. The mare's a different place when it's packed." "Well, I'm working," Tib said. "So am I," Garron had replied, winking. "Not for the mare, mind. Pike's a man who likes things neat. I like things easy." Tib frowned. "Pike doesn't like trouble." "Pike doesn't like the room turning too rowdy either," Garron had said. "That's different. He'll look the other way so long as the benches stay filled and the ale is being poured down throats." Tib had wanted to argue, but it was hard to argue with someone who spoke as indifferently as Garron. Instead, he said, "If you bring trouble to this loft, it won't be you who's sent out. It'll probably be me." Garron grinned. "You worry too much, Hashweal." Tib did worry. He worried because he knew what it was to have a place taken. Garron did not worry because he believed he could always slip away before anyone closed a hand around him. Now, Pike's voice rose through the boards. "Hashweal, move!" "Good luck," Garron said, and rolled onto his side again. The stairs down were steep, and Tib descended into the smoke, sweat, and ale all at once. He stepped off the last stair and entered the Crooked Mare's chaos. The benches were packed shoulder to shoulder. Tankards knocked against boards. Men and women leaned close to shout over one another. Couples kissed and cursed. Laughter burst and fell away. Altogether, the room felt pretty festive. Pike was stationed where the ale was drawn, beside the casks and the serving trestle. His eyes detected Tib arriving, and he barked orders. "Trenchers! Cups! Keep moving! And don't hover!" "Yes, Pike." No welcome or pat on the shoulder, though Tib did not expect one. He took the stack of trenchers that Pike had shoved toward him and began to move around the room as he had been shown the day before. He moved carefully through the benches, slipping between elbows and knees, avoiding boots placed out like traps. He collected cups rimmed with foam, plates with bones and crusts, trenchers dripping with grease. He became part of the labour, invisible. Yet invisibility was not the same as blindness. Tib saw too much by nature. He saw a man near the door who laughed loudest of all, but whose eyes never warmed. He saw a farmer slap another on the back and then flinch as if the contact had surprised him. He saw the way certain conversations slowed when an unfamiliar figure drifted too close. Pike controlled the room without shouting. He paused for one table before moving to the next. He leaned in for a low exchange with a man who did not look up. He placed a cup down in a way that discouraged more talk. Tib began to recognise that the mare was managed, not merely run. Pike wasn't just serving ale. He was keeping the room from snagging on something. As the night wore on, Tib noticed patterns about the place. There were places in the tavern that carried an unspoken permission, and places that carried an unspoken warning. A table close to the hearth was loud and boisterous, and seemed to draw most of the easy laughter. A table near the back wall was quieter, and men approached it differently, quieting their voices without prompting. At that table sat a man who barely moved. He did not join in the talk. He did not lift his head when laughter rose around him. He watched the wood grain on the board before him and drank his ale. When Tib passed him, the air felt cooler, but Tib told himself it was nothing. The mare was full. It was winter. Draughts existed. Men existed. You could not read hidden meaning into everything. He went to the back room once for kindling, and once more for water, and each time the noise dulled behind him. On the second trip, he heard muttering from somewhere near the cellar steps, voices too quiet to make out clearly. He recognised Pike's voice, and his spine tensed even before he understood a word. Pike did not speak that way unless he needed to keep something held down. Tib hurried back out and returned to his clearing, trying to keep pace with the room. He saw Garin only briefly, laughing with a pair of travellers near the door, then vanishing into the press. Tib caught a glimpse of his hand resting lightly against a belt, fingers testing the give of a purse string. It was so quick, Tib wondered if he had imagined it. Garin's eyes met his briefly, that Tib looked away. Still, Garin's presence made Tib more aware of how the room watched itself. A thief not only steals coins, a thief shifts attention and puts men on edge. He saw how easily a crowded night could turn from noise to trouble. The tavern contained it all. The benches stayed full. The laughter stayed loud. The ale kept moving. Pike kept moving with it, and Tib followed the rhythm he set, clearing what needed clearing, stepping aside when told, keeping his mouth shut. Then he heard the word. A man at the loud half-table said it very quietly, leaning close to his friend, and the friend's face changed. The man's mouth kept moving, and the friend shook his head. Tib's curiosity was pricked. He did not know why. He only knew he had seen something, a moment where language had somehow failed. A second time, near the middle of the room, Tib heard the same word. It came from a traveller with a snow-crusted cloak. The man's companions went still, then laughed too loudly. Tib's mind caught on it. A word spoken, but something everyone knew to avoid. He was clearing trenchers near the back, nearer now to the table with the still man. He told himself not to look at that table, and he remembered what Pike had said, "Don't hover and keep moving." So Tib kept moving. A man at the table beside the still one muttered something, and Tib caught that same word again, this time clearer. But Tib, without meaning to, stopped his hands and opened his mouth before caution could reach it. "Why does everyone stop when that comes up?" he asked. The question was not loud or insolent. It was a boy's honest curiosity, in his own opinion, a harmless request. But it landed like a dropped jug. The still man looked up, and Tib felt his attention immediately. It was somewhere between simple irritation and rage. "What did you say?" the man asked. His voice was rough but controlled, and that was the frightening part. Tib tried to speak and could not. He realized, too late, that there were no right words any longer. The question could not be unasked. Around them the laughter faltered. A bench scraped as someone moved to leave. A man near the hearth lifted his cup and drank it down too fast. Tib felt in that instant how the mare held itself together by small agreements, and how easily one boy's mouth, his mouth, could tug at a loose thread. Pike appeared next to Tib as though he had risen through the floorboards. Hashweal, back room, water, now. Relief surged in Tib, followed by shame. He pushed through the press and into the back room and plunged his hands into the basin. The cold bit him and he hissed. Pike came in behind him and closed the door firmly. He silently rinsed his cup, set it down, and wiped his hands on his apron. His movements were calm, and Tib realized they were calm on purpose. Pike was teaching him even now, teaching him what it meant not to feed a moment. Eventually Pike spoke. "I told you not to hover." "I wasn't," Tib said, then realized how weak that sounded. Pike's eyes lifted to him. "You asked a question." Tib couldn't deny it. I didn't know." "That's the point," Pike said. "You don't know what it costs." He looked at me like I'd done something. "You did," Pike said. "You reached for something that wasn't yours to take." Tib stared at his hands in the water, fingers red and raw. "I only asked." Pike cut him off with a shake of the head. "Folk come in here for different reasons," he said. "Some come to drink because they're glad, some because they're lonely, some because they've got coin and nowhere else to spend it. And some come because if they sit alone in a quiet room, the past starts talking back." Tib felt some kind of punishment looming, but Pike slurped from the cup and continued. "That man is holding himself together. That's what you saw. You don't tug at it. You don't make him do more work than he came here to do." "Will he hurt me?" Tib asked. Pike considered the question. "Not if you learn," he said. "He's not here to fight a boy. He's here to sit in a warm room and keep his hands from shaking." Tib nodded, relieved. "Watching isn't nothing," Pike said. "Listening isn't free. When you open your mouth, you spend something. Sometimes the room pays for it. Sometimes someone else does. You want to keep your place here, Tib. Then you learn that." Tib pressed him. "How do I know?" "You don't," Pike said. "Not yet. That's why you keep quiet until you do." Pike opened the door, and heat and sound rolled back in. Pike did not touch Tib or comfort him. He stepped aside, the lesson delivered. Tib went back out. He cleared trenchers and cups with the same hands, but the room looked different now. He noticed how men watched one another, and how Pike guided a loud table away from a quiet one, with nothing but the placement of a fresh tankard. He also noticed how the still man did not look at him again, which felt like mercy, but also a warning. So he got on, eyes down and mouth shut. He kept moving. The night's chaos finally diminished. Men stumbled out into the snow, their laughter trailing behind them. Pike stacked benches. Tib helped, shoulders aching, fingers stiff. Garin was nowhere to be seen, which meant little to Tib. When everything was clear and the door barred, Pike nodded toward the stairs, and Tib climbed back to the loft, with his bones tired, but his mind awake. Garin was there, stretched out on his bed like he had never left. He looked up as Tib entered and grinned. "You look like you've swallowed a nail, lad." Tib pulled off his boots. "I made a mistake." Garin's grin widened with delight. "Did you get hit?" "No." "Then it wasn't much of a mistake." "Pike barked at you? Someone glared? That's easy." "A man looked at me," Tib said, "like he might come apart." Garin shrugged in the dark. "Men break. That's not your business." Tib lay back and stared up at the rafters, where he could see the light from below was fading. The tavern had become quiet, chairs creaking as Pike moved them into place, his last cough, the last clink of the cups. Tib listened to it all, but he did not speak. He understood now that silence was not emptiness. It was something you offered, whether anyone thanked you or not. He closed his eyes, held his tongue, and began the slow work of learning what questions can cost.
The lesson is a simple one. Silence is not the absence of speech, it is the choice to withhold it. In some places, not every question is an act of innocence, and not every truth is owed to an audience. Sometimes the best thing to do is look away, and the wisest course is to hold your tongue